Do you want to go to Hajj over and over again? I'm going to teach you how with this infinity cube. And here's what you're going to need. Cardstock paper, about 5 to 7 pieces, some scissors, a ruler, a pencil, tape, and some decorative materials like color pencils. I am going to create 8 small cubes to form one large cube. Let's start with the first one. Make sure that your paper is landscape direction. First, let's create 8 small cubes. Measure and draw a grid, a 1.5 by 1.5 or 3.81 centimeters square grid. And what I'm going to do next is trace a set of squares that form a T. So 1 square on top, 3 squares across, and I'm just outlining the T. So I'm not drawing the lines inside the T. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 squares down. This will make one cube. Don't erase these lines. We'll need those next. Next, we're going to cut out this T shape, and then we will fold it into a cube. So where you had your lines, that's where you're going to fold in. Okay, I'm using a bone folder. You can use a craft stick to crease your folds. Fold, open, fold, open. And this one has 2. Fold, fold, and open, and fold and open. We'll need about 7 pieces of tape. The middle of your T is going to be the bottom of your cube. Let's start by folding up the sides around the bottom. You're going to hold 2 sides at a time. Take your piece of tape, line it up so that it's the tall direction, and half on one side and half on the other side. Okay? So the long side is parallel with the side of the cube. And continue all the way around until you form your cube. So the structure of these small cubes are very important because they are actually going to become part of a larger structure. So this is your first one. Now you're going to cut 7 more, but I don't have time for that. Now that we have all 8 cubes, what we're going to do is we're going to create the hinges. So you'll need about 16 pieces of tape, about 1 inch long. This is the most important step in making this cube, is the hinges. You know what they say about art? It hinges on your creativity. So we're going to start to make a hinge with these 2 top cubes, my 2 green ones. So I'm going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to put it across this time, not the long way, but the short way. And I'm going to tape it across. So your hinge will open and close. And I want you to take those 2, open it, and put another piece of tape across to reinforce that hinge. Okay? All right, next I'm going to do the bottom 2, my 2 blue ones. So again, I'm going to connect them with a short piece of tape, open it, reinforce that hinge on the other side. The remaining 2, you're going to hinge together. Okay, I'm just going to take a piece of tape on the top, and again, open it and reinforce that hinge. Okay, so this hinge, you'll notice, is on the top. This hinge, you'll notice, is actually on the side here. And this hinge is on this side. And now I'm going to put another hinge on the top over here. This hinge is on the top. this hinge is on the top. This hinge is on the side, so when I open it up, it makes a mountain fold. This hinge is on the side, and when I open it up, it makes the letter V, or a valley fold. Hey, this is super important that you remember, because when we put the hinges together, it has to be able to open the right direction. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them together. So just close that hinge, and now I'm going to start with the right side, and I'm going to make the two top, or in my case, the two green ones, hinge together. Okay, again, reinforce it by slowly lifting it up. And set that back down. Then you're going to hinge the two bottom ones together on the right. In my case, it's two blue. Open that up. Reinforce that hinge. And now I'll do the same thing on the left side. You know what they say about art? It's like a door. It hinges on your creativity. All right, so to double check to make sure that you have it taped correctly, you should be able to open and close on the right side and on the left side and top to bottom, bottom to top. At this point, I highly recommend that you write on the top of these 8 cubes. I'm writing the number 3 because this is going to be the third scene. So scene 1 is going to be flipping both sides up. You can mark that with a 1. Rotate your cube forward, and scene 2 will be on this side. Then open it up, fold it back to where we started, and scene 3 will be on this side. So you're going to rotate it up, and you're going to fold it together to make another 2x2 square, and write the number 4 on top. Then you're going to turn it and rotate it up for another 2x2 and write the number 5. This will be your 5th scene. Okay, for the 6th scene, you're going to open it up back to where 3 was and fold it down, rotate it, and this will be number 6, a large rectangle. So in the end, you should have 2 rectangles and 8 squares. So for scene 7, it's going to be inside of 6. So what you're going to do is hinge it open, set it down, and mark 7. All right, for scene 8, you're going to open that so that you see 6, and you're going to put that, rotate it up on top, and fold the bottom sides down, and that's going to be scene 8. Almost there. Okay, rotate it to the right, and that will be scene 9. So from 9, you're going to flip it over all the way, rotate it, and then you're going to open it up. So you should see number 3, okay, and flip the top, and then hinge forward, and you should see your last side for the 10th scene. That's tricky. So you should have 8 squares and 2 rectangles. And that's how you make your infinity cube. Now let's decorate it and tell a story. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to create another grid that we will use to draw and then cut out our different images and glue them onto our cube. Now that we've created our cube, we have 10 scenes that we can create, and I am going to make mine about the sacred journey of Hajj. So for scene 1, I know that it's going to be a 2x2 square. So I went and I drew each of my scenes that will be on my cube through my journey. Starting with the first scene, Ihram. So while on Hajj, pilgrims wear a special clothing called Ihram. The second scene is the Kaaba in Mecca, where the pilgrims perform tawaf and circle the Kaaba 7 times. Because we're creating an infinity cube, a cube that is endless and goes on, it inspired me to want to do drawings that are the same way. I am doing a continuous line drawing where I'm not lifting up my pen, but I'm going over and over to create the outline of my drawing. This may mean that you will have additional lines and draw over some areas, but that's fine. It's kind of charming. So in the third scene, I'm drawing the hills, Safa and Marwa. This is where pilgrims will go back and forth 7 times, following the footsteps of Lady Hajar. This project has been really meaningful to me. As a new Muslim, I'm still learning, and the sacred journey to Hajj is something I didn't know all the steps to. And so through this project, I've been able to learn more about, inshallah, if I will have the opportunity to visit Hajj, what I will be doing on that journey. The Kaaba, I've never seen it, only in pictures. I've watched people walk around it on TV. Okay, so now it's time for us to cut them out and glue them on. So first start by cutting out the entire square. So I'm just adding just a little bit of color just to define some of these drawings that I've made. And this particular one is, inshallah, my husband and I will go to Hajj together. Maybe on your cube you want to draw yourself going to Hajj. So now, how we put it on the cube. We're going to cut out those lines that we had in the middle of our square. And kind of like a puzzle, you're going to put it back together. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you'll notice that your squares are small cubes. They're hollow inside, so you can't push too hard, but you'll do your best just to lightly smooth that down. Okay, so you could even flip it over and rub it a little bit. Try to smooth that out. All right, scene 1 is done. Now let's cut out the rest of our sides and glue them on. There we are, a finished infinity cube. The sacred journey to Hajj. While on Hajj, we wear special clothing called ihram. Pilgrims perform tawaf of the Kaaba 7 times and say of the 2 hills, Safa and Marwa. If they're thirsty, they stop for a drink from the Zamzam well. Then they leave to a place called Mina and stay there overnight. The pilgrims go to the plains of Mount Arafat and gather around a famous hill. Here, pilgrims pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask for forgiveness. In the evening, they go to a place called Muzdalifa and they collect small pebbles. They travel back to Mina and throw small stones at the big Jamarat, the Satan pillar. And then they perform Qurbani, to sacrifice an animal to commemorate Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. They also shave or trim their hair. And my final scene, Hajj, a journey of a lifetime. There you have it, the infinity cube. I'm so looking forward to seeing what you come up with for your story on your sacred journey to Hajj. Submit your infinity cube on our Flip community. I can't wait to see you next time.